Thanks for joining us. I'm Alexandra Lewis.
I'm Kyle Clark. We're preparing for bitter cold this week. First responders are getting ready as well.
9 News reporter Janelle Finch joining us now. Janelle, you talked to a paramedic with Denver Health.
That's right. They're gearing up for a busy weekend this weekend. Paramedics say hypothermia and frostbite can set in even in mild temperatures. So this weekend, they're saying it'll take less time to cause potentially permanent damage. You can feel the cold before you see its impacts.
You feel mild frostbite when your fingers start to tingle and such, and it can get much worse if you're left outside or exposed in the cold. And by much worse, I mean you could have an amputation of your small digits that have been exposed.
Amputation is an extreme Denver Health paramedics don't want anyone to reach.
Sure.
Lieutenant Jay Starzinski says people can't control wind speed, humidity, or temperature, but they can control how long they're in it.
If you are going to be outside, limit your exposure, do it in bursts, get to a warmer area if possible. As far as clothing goes, layers.
Starzinski says Denver's unhoused community is the most vulnerable to frostbite and hypothermia. Paramedics meet the need.
There's about 30 ambulances on the road during our peak deployment during the day, interacting with people on the street. We also have our STAR van, which are our mental health co-responders. They'll see an uptick during the cold weather. We can bring them to the proper place so that they're housed for the evening and out of the elements.
Denver's Department of Housing Stability, or HOST, has had 4 cold weather shelters open since December 30th. They say if someone's experiencing symptoms of frostbite, they can call first responders there for treatment. So Starzinski says they can prevent the symptoms of freezing before they're felt or seen.
If you are outside, the least amount of time you can expose yourself to the elements, the better.
As of right now, Denver's cold weather shelters are open until Tuesday, but the city is considering extending that time frame. Live in Denver, Janelle Finch, 9 News.
Spring in 9 News meteorologist Corey Reppenhagen. And Corey, how's the viewpoint or outlook on this changing throughout the week, right? Because we kind of knew a couple of days ago that this was coming and it was going to be serious. Is anything changing?
Yeah, it is. It's constantly changing, but just a little bit. So the thing that's changed the most to me is the first initial wave of cold air staying to the east. So what's going to happen is the front's going to come in on Friday. It'll drop below freezing by about 7, 8 o'clock, and it'll stay below freezing until Wednesday, just gradually getting colder and colder until Monday, where it hits its absolute bottom. So we have the satellite and radar right now. It's all clear up to the north here. So we're gonna have another very sunny day. We could make a run at 60 degrees tomorrow. The record for tomorrow is 64. That's gonna be a nice looking day. And mostly on Friday, most of the day on Friday is gonna look pretty nice as well. That cold front will sharply come in here to the Denver area about 6 p.m. So if you're at the National Western Stock Show Pro Rodeo that night, you might go in and it looks fine. Coming out, you're in a polar vortex. So we'll have more information on how that times out coming up in the forecast.
Aurora Public Schools will keep students in class during the district's ongoing internet outage, despite concerns from teachers and parents about the school's security systems. Schools start 2 hours late tomorrow and Friday. Delayed starts meant to help teachers and staff prepare for the school day without online access. APS says they shut down their phone and internet service Monday morning after detecting what they called suspicious activity. More than a dozen teachers and employees have reached out to 9 News saying they feel unsafe because the outage has caused security cameras at the schools to not be fully operational. The district says they're relying on secure door locks and school resource officers to keep people safe. And they did say that some cameras in some locations do work. The district says the earliest the internet will be restored is next Tuesday. School's out Monday for MLK Day.
Police in San Francisco say they've solved a 33-year-old cold case after DNA linked the killing of a homeless woman to a man awaiting trial in Denver. They say Ricky Dawson assaulted Nancy Hernandez before killing her back in May of 1992. Dawson is also accused in the murder of Terry Turachak. This happened in October of 1996. Here in Denver. Police say she was assaulted, then killed, and they linked Dawson to the crime through DNA evidence. Dawson was extradited from Denver to Florida, where he was serving a 25-year-old prison sentence for murder and sexual assault. We now know the second name of the person killed in a stabbing along 16th Street Mall over the weekend. The medical examiner identified him today as 34-year-old Nicholas Burkett. Police say 24-year-old Elijah Caudill killed Burkett on Sunday after stabbing 3 other people the night before. Investigators say he didn't know any of the people he stabbed. 71-year-old Celinda Levno was killed Saturday. The flight attendant based in Phoenix was on a layover at the time. Police say the 2 other victims, a 62-year-old man and a 49-year-old man, are both expected to survive. CBI says they're dealing with a backlog processing rape kits of more than 500 days.
So that means that assault survivors have to wait for months or even years for their cases to proceed. 9 News reporter Colton Chavez joins us with details on that. Colton.
Well, Kyle, Jenny Wilford is a Democrat representing North Glen in the House, and in a one-on-one interview today, she told me she's still waiting for justice in her case after she was assaulted last year. So in the meantime, she's doing what she can to move forward.
I never expected that this is something I would tackle as a state legislator, as a parent of 2 young kids.
State Representative Jenny Wilford says she refuses to change her expectations of justice.
Victims deserve answers, and anything else is unacceptable.
She says it's been nearly a year since she was assaulted by a rideshare driver on her way home. She says the driver started by making sexual comments before escalating to assault.
Thinking I'm almost home, I'm there, like I'm almost to safety. And to be assaulted when you can see your house, there are no words.
Wilford says police performed a DNA test on the clothing she was wearing.
I can't move forward with my case because there's a 517-day DNA and rape kit backlog.
The Colorado Bureau of Investigation says the 517-day backlog is due in part to a previous employee accused of taking shortcuts while processing DNA in cases like Wilford's.
Every day I live with this. I live with not having answers, not being able to move on.
In the meantime, she's filed a lawsuit against Lyft. It claims her driver was unauthorized by the company and was driving under a different person's name against policy.
Nobody else should be hurt. Nobody else should have to go through this.
She says she wants to hold the company accountable, not just for her, but for all rideshare users.
It's really hard to be a parent of 2 young kids and raise them in a world where sexual assault is so prevalent. And we have backlogs of 517 days, and there's no justice and there are no answers.
Wilford says Lyft refunded her for the ride and then promised her that she would never be paired up with that driver ever again. Now, in a statement, Lyft said in part, "Safety is fundamental to Lyft, and the behavior described in this incident has no place in our society," but they could not comment on the details of the lawsuit. Colton Chavez, 9 News.
A gold mine in southern Colorado, where a tour guide died last year, will be allowed to reopen. The state shut down the Molly Kathleen gold mine in Cripple Creek in October. That was after 46-year-old Patrick Wire died in an elevator malfunction while guiding a tour. The Teller County Sheriff's Office says its investigation and now the state's investigation are complete. They say the tour guide's death was a result of operator error, ruled it an accident. The mine has passed a state safety inspection. It would have been closed for the season through much of the state's cease and desist order anyway. It's open from May till the middle of October.
The City of Denver wants to take control of the old Park Hill Golf Course and turn it into a public park. This is a proposed land swap deal. The city would get the 155-acre golf course. In turn, the company that owns it would get 145 acres of undeveloped land near DIA to build housing. The golf course closed in 2018. 5 years later, voters chose not to build housing there, leaving plans for the land in limbo. City Council still has to approve this land swap deal. City leaders hope to open up the park by the summer, and then Parks and Rec would work on long-term plans for amenities there. Tonight, a group of neighbors on Denver's southeast side wants to know what happened to their rock garden.
If you're thinking, how big of a deal could that be? Well, Spencer Sources along, and this, like so many things that happened during COVID, it started as a community tradition. It meant something to folks in the neighborhood, and they kept it going.
Yeah, we've seen things like this in neighborhoods since the pandemic, whether it's little libraries or inspirational messages. In this case, it was there one day and gone the next.
Come on, boys.
A walk on the Hampton Heights Trail in southeast Denver.
Oh,
Oh, it's nice to see you.
always brings a smile to neighbors' faces.
They were just bright and cheery. I'd just be walking and thinking about different things in life, and whenever I would see one of the rocks, it always made me smile.
Well, it started during COVID, during the shutdown.
Kim McMahon's been rocking and rolling,
Got tipped over.
painting stones with kind messages for 5 years.
Sometimes I'll just write out something and just a special message like, you got this, or you rock, or you matter.
Then leaving them under a tree by the trail.
And so it was my way of kind of bringing the community together.
The neighborhood's pile of half a decade is now gone. On Tuesday, Denver Parks and Rec workers came, shoveled the rocks into a truck, and drove off.
It was thoughtless at best and mean at worst.
Kim doesn't know why the rocks were taken.
I mean, what's not to like? Everybody's got to love. I was initially hurt and disappointed, and then that turned to frustration, and I was livid. I mean, who does that?
Knowing the rocks are likely gone for good,
I'm very, very motivated to get said rocks back.
the neighbors say they're stuck, you guessed it, between a rock and a hard place.
No. This will not stop us. No way.
We reached out to Denver Parks and Rec tonight asking why the rocks were removed. We haven't heard back yet. The neighbors say they hope they're able to rebuild their rock garden. Spencer Soischer, 9 News.